Today ends the first week of summer school class, and today's assignment's going to be relatively easy. This way I allow you time to catch up. Yesterday I sent you a grade report that showed you the rubric from the first 2 days of work. Understand there's still day 3 of work, and understand also that you have today's work. The most important problem with this is that you might end up falling behind and giving up. That's not what I want you to do. Finish up the day 1 work with the corrections. Finish up the day 2 work with corrections. You're going to turn in the day 3 work today by 6 a.m. It should already be there. And of course, I'm going to assign you day 4. In looking at what your writing was yesterday, let me explain the way I graded it. On the short writing assignments, I gave you 10 points. Of that 10 points, 5 points was for the content of your answer. How well did you answer the question? Another 5 points was on the grammar of your response. I could have fixed your grammar errors. It would have taken me no effort, no time whatsoever. Instead, you need to learn how to begin fixing your own grammar. So for most writing assignments in this class, I will always assign a grammar. The grammar can always be made up. If you need help with particular grammar rules, I can assist you. Most of your errors are predicated on a simple grammar rule. Let me give you a couple examples I saw from your writing. Let's look at grammar rule number 1, capitalization. You capitalize names, proper nouns, and first word of sentences. For example, if I went ahead and wrote a sentence, Pen, the dog ran to the store. That is what some of you wrote like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is my job to teach you. By the end of the course, if you're still writing this way, you're having a problem. First things first. When I read, I look and I circle the grammar errors. I saw a grammar error there. I saw a grammar error there. Via email, you'll send it back. And by the way, here's what the grammar errors are. You always capitalize the first word of a sentence. So that should look like this. If you left a period off, what you need to go do is on your word processor, go ahead and put the period in. I want you to understand something. As it is, this is a grammatically correct sentence. I'm going to give you what I like to call a judging paradigm. When I was in high school, my ideas could flow onto the paper exceptionally well. I would write these ridiculously long and intricate sentences, but I didn't know how to punctuate them. My teachers at the time, because they saw my ideas, gave me ridiculous amounts of points, but they never fixed me. Literally what I had to do in college, when I got my papers back, and by the way, a college professor will just give you an F on papers with bad grammar. I had to rebuild my grammar, and this is how you rebuild a grammar. You take a sentence like this, which is simple, but it's grammatically correct. And you start by writing your sentences like that. That way, even though I lost points on my content grade, I gained back the points on my grammar. And slowly, I built my sentences back. So let's look at a couple other things I saw in your sentences. Again, we'll fix them a little bit at a time. Currently, my sentence is, the dog ran to the store. Let me put in the word because. Because his master was there. Slightly more intricate sentence. One of the things I've been seeing is Some of you like to put a comma in front of because. I'm going to give you a rule that's going to be right 90% of the time. Here's the rule. Don't forget it. Never a comma in front of because. This is an important grammar rule. If you pick this rule up, it'll help you in life. There's never a comma in front of because. That's a real simple one that you can fix up pretty easy. So as of right now, this sentence is also grammatically correct. You see where it says the dog? That dog doesn't have a name. See the store? That store doesn't have a name. See master? Master does not have a name. Those are not proper nouns. They are not capitalized. So, let's make a dog. A really good dog name. Let's call him Sparky. Sparky ran to, not the store. Let's call the store its name. H-E-B. And by the way, in the title of H-E-B, they do not have periods. So you don't put periods here. Because his master, let's give him his name. Because Billy was there. All right, now we've used proper names. The problem when you use proper names is you can't tell who it is. Sparky ran to the H-E-B. We don't need the. Because Billy was there. If I were you, this is how I would run this. All right, so Sparky ran to H-E-B because Billy was there. Well, who is Billy? Let's move Billy over here. And I need that. I don't have quite enough room. Master was there. Do you notice now the sentence makes more sense? Sparky ran to H-E-B because Billy, his master, was there. Let me go ahead and clean up the sentence so it looks a little better. Let's move the rules out of the way here. All right, a little bit better sentence. Let me give you another rule that a lot of you are having problems with. And, let's see, was hit by a shopping cart. Sparky ran to H-E-B because Billy, his master, was there and was hit by a shopping cart. Okay, let's look at this comma. Normally, what I'm seeing is when y'all put the word and, you 9 times out of 10 put a comma there. You only put a comma there if this is a complete sentence. Let me show you what a complete sentence is. If you take this, and let's go ahead and ignore the rest of this sentence above it. Darn it, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Let's ignore the rest of this sentence. There. If I went to you and said, was hit by a shopping cart, if I went to any one of you and said, was hit by a shopping cart, what's the first thing you would say? The first thing you would say is, Mr. Hill, who was hit by a shopping cart? This is what we call a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment is missing either the noun or the verb. A noun is the person, place, thing, or idea. The verb is the action that that thing does. In this particular case, you are missing the noun. So, this is the rule of thumb. And there are a lot of rules of thumb. Let's bring back the rest of the sentence. Okay, and let's put this back to where it actually fits. Sparky ran to H-E-B because Billy, his master, was there and was hit by a shopping cart. To determine whether or not this and needs a comma, there's a simple thing to do. Whenever you put and, you can also put, this applies to but and or as well. So for and, but, and or, you ask yourself this question. If this second part of the sentence, you see the word and, you take the noun of the first part, and if you take that noun, and then you take the second part of the sentence, if these two are added together, and this makes a complete sentence, Sparky was hit by a shopping cart. If that is a complete sentence, you no longer need a comma. So let's put Sparky back. Was hit by a shopping cart. If that made sense, if Sparky was hit by a shopping cart makes sense, then you don't need a comma. This sentence is grammatically correct. But watch what I'm going to do now. And a car was hit by a shopping cart. Let's go ahead and take that together. Here's our new sentence. Sparky ran to H-E-B because Billy, his master, was there and a car was hit by a shopping cart. Again, let's go ahead and see if we need a comma in front of the and right there. The way we do it, and a car was hit by a shopping cart. If I take this off and we go ahead and ignore the rest of the sentence, let's ignore this part of the sentence. A car was hit by a shopping cart. That is a perfectly grammatically correct sentence. It has the noun and what happened with the noun. Because that is true, this becomes a compound sentence, and you do need a comma there. This sentence is once again grammatically correct. As I read your writing, I'm going to give you little grammar rules based upon your own writing. Again, I talked a lot about something I didn't mean to today, but I believe it was important. So, that's the way you can get some of your points back. Get your assignments to me. When I sent you a grade, I sent you both the grade, I sent you the rubric, how I graded it, and I gave you a plan to fix that grade. Any grade that you get in my class, you have the opportunity to make up. And you're not going to make it up by completely redoing it. But usually, if I see there's something in there that's very, very important, I'm going to have you make that particular part up. So, you have your first 2 day grades. This weekend, you'll get the second 2 days. Here is what your assignment for today is, everyone. We're going to make a plan for the engaging story that we're writing, and you're going to answer a question about the literature. I'm worried that some of you are fast forwarding through these videos. These videos is when I do my direct teaching. And I'm catching it because some of you are asking me questions I know I've answered in the videos themselves. So today, the assignment is not going to be precise on the quick topic, nor is it going to be precise on the website. Instead, it's going to be precise right here when I talk about it. So here's our assignment for today. Assignment 1, we're going to be working with our engaging story. Currently, you have written a description of your hero. Hero is also called protagonist. That's what you currently have. The second thing is you have a description of a foil called antagonist. You have those two things. That's the beginning of the story. So here's what I need you to have for today's assignment. Number 1, describe where and when the story takes place. So I need that. Let me show you what I mean in my story. My story, I began with a crayon. So my number 1 is going to be my story takes place at a small elementary school in the country during the late 1970s. That is where and when my story took place. Notice I had to use, and you will use as well, complete sentences. All right, that's the first thing I need from you. Number 2, is going to be this. Describe your hero. Well, this is already done. So what I want you to do is copy and paste what you have already. Sorry, my pen slipped. Completed. So you've already done that. Let me give you what I like to call a caveat. It's the exception to the rule. Let's say you didn't like what you wrote at the beginning. You didn't like your story with its believable character that you wrote. You may choose to rewrite that character, but if you do so, you will be redoing this part. If you choose to keep what you've already done, that's also equally fine. And by the way, the only reason I'm not copying and pasting this in here is because I haven't done it. I meant it's on my quick topic. I can tell it's a Friday morning. And you can go ahead and review that. Number 3. This is what I want to know. What problem, and in literature we call it a conflict, must your character overcome? What drives a story is a problem. The problem is also called a conflict. In my story about the crayon, the problem that we are facing is the teacher assigned, oh no, has assigned a poster to be completed. And there is very little of the crayon left. That's the problem. If my hero's a crayon and a poster's being assigned, you've seen posters, they're pretty good sized. So that's the problem that our hero is facing. It's what has to be overcome. So our next problem is, next I need you to answer, number 4. Who is the foil? Again, if you've completed your assignment for number 4, it is already completed. Cut and paste. Okay, again, cut and paste yours in. And my foil is going to be, because you haven't seen my foil is going to be the large piece, sorry, of evil poster board who wants to consume the crayon. Crayon. That's my villain. The foil can also be called a villain. Number 5. And number 5 is probably the most interesting part. You see, you've written about what the hero is. What problem does the hero has to overcome? The hero has to overcome completing the poster without dying. Okay? The next thing I want you to write is what motivates the foil. And for number 5, the poster board feeds on crayons. And our hero is by far the tastiest. So, that's what's motivating our villain. You see, it's not enough just to have a hero who is engaging and interesting. Your foil must also be equally engaging and interesting. So, number 6. Number 6 is how is the conflict resolved? What is your conflict? Pull yourself back up here. What is the problem? How do they overcome it? In my case, my conflict in my example was the teacher has assigned a poster to be completed and there's very little of the crayon left. In my particular case, this is how we're going to solve the problem. You see, most of the story is going to be, my story at least, is my crayon trying to stop the student, because the crayon's not blaming the student, from writing this poster on the poster board. So how is it going to be overcome? When the crayon manages to turn on the computer. You see, in my story, here's what's going to be the challenge. The problem to be overcome is the teacher wants a poster, right? The poster board is evil. The poster board wants to eat my little crayon. My little crayon wants to survive. Well, how is the crayon going to survive? The teacher wants the poster. Well, here's how my story is going to work. The crayon is going to try his little heart out to convince the student not to do a poster. And you know how hard it is to convince a teacher not to do an assignment? And the way the crayon's going to do it is, somehow or another, get the student to see the computer. You see, my story suspense is, can the crayon get the computer to turn on? How is that going to happen? And he's going to fail a lot of times. And that's what's going to build the suspense. Because once my crayon manages to turn on the computer, see, in my mind, the story, the student's going to go, oh, I can use PowerPoint. And thus, the crayon survives. Ironically enough, this means the crayon has outlived its usefulness, but in my allegory, that's going to be a really neat thing. So, our first assignment today. And I want you to send to my email this assignment. Eventually, we're going to post it to QuickTopic, but this assignment will be sent to my email. The 6 answers will be sent to my email. You're going to answer the questions the following. Describe where and when the story takes place. You're going to describe your hero. You're going to tell me what problem or conflict must your character overcome. You're going to tell me who is the foil, the villain. You're going to tell me what motivates the foil. And finally, you're going to tell me how the conflict is resolved. And the last part, when you are finished with it, you will send to my email all 6 answers. That's the first part of the assignment. The second assignment is actually pretty simple. Go to QuickTopic. and answer the question posted. Actually, let's make it questions. Let's make it fun. Posted there. Now, also, that's part one. Part two is going to be, I'm going to ask you to respond to a question. This second part will be on the Pardoner's Tale. I hope you have read the Pardoner's Tale. I also hope you've read Aesop's Fables, because you're going to use that as well. So, I'm being purposeful and putting a lot of my assignments on this film so you can watch it. Keep an eye on the website. I'm about to post both our assignments and exactly what my expectations are. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you have a great weekend. Use this weekend to catch up. Lord knows I will. And I will see you guys a little later. Goodbye.